Hello everybody, and welcome to this new video. So if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I am a big fan of Enphase. It's a stock that's not too followed, and I don't cover this stock to get views like some other YouTubers out there. I cover this stock because I really believe in the company. I think this company is a monopoly in the making, and that's the title of the video. And I'm interested in this company. They have a grand vision. They have a whole system, a whole house vision, and even perhaps someday a whole virtual grid vision as to where energy is headed. And this is a new product, for example, that they're releasing apparently within a few months, which I'm very excited about, which is bidirectional EV charging. You know, they did that Clipper Creek acquisition of EV chargers, and they're really transferring that technology. And they're looking to make every single EV a battery that you can use to recharge your home. So again, very, very, very interesting company. But you know, it's a company where the stock is down, and thus I'm interested right now because a lot of my favorite stocks are up. And Enphase is one of my favorite stock that is down. So that's why I've been covering Enphase a lot, and I want to cover it just a tad more. So please bear with me as I go through this kind of anecdotal video, but very, very interesting. So title video, Learnings from my local home and garden show about Enphase. And is Enphase a monopoly in the making? And I want to talk specifically about how they sell their products. So, of course, when you set up a whole house system or a system that has to do with your roof, your solar panels, you need permits. This is electricity too, so you need multiple permits. And the fact that you need all these permits to be pulled mean that it's not going to be a do-it-yourself thing. You're typically going to go through an installer, and the installer is typically your most important salespeople are the installers. And Enphase, I think, is doing an amazing job with the installers. It's startling how good we are doing with the installers. So where do you find installers for any home project that you may be interested? Well, you know, you could do an online search, but I did it the old school way, and I was like, okay, let me go to a home and garden show. So I went to the biggest home and garden show in my city. I live in the largest city in Texas, and it's a big city, and it's a city that's known for oil, and everybody drives a pickup truck around here. So it's very interesting when you go to the home and garden show. You see a lot of solar installers. Solar installers were definitely the mode of the garden show, more than windows, more than mattresses, more than garage doors. No, it was solar installers who were number one all over there. And I saw about 10 installers in the whole show, and I was able to only talk to 9 because one of them had a longer line. But these shows are busy. There is demand for solar, as evidenced by how busy these booths were. And I just discussed solar with a total of 9 pros, so 9 out of 10. And I figured this would add a layer of truth to my Enphase thesis, right? Because I just watched a lot of YouTubers in the solar space and in the installer space, and they all recommend Enphase. But, how is it in person? Well, I checked, because YouTube could be manipulated. So I checked how it is in person. Out of 9 installers that I've talked to, guess how many recommended or carried essentially exclusively Enphase? Guess. Take a guess out of 9. Pause the video if you can. All right. You guessed right. It was all 9 of them. All 9 of them. Everybody I talked to recommended Enphase. And I described, my house, your classic 5-bedroom, suburban house. Nothing special. They all recommended Enphase. This is it's hard to believe. I don't believe it myself. I never thought. I thought it would be like 5 out of 9 or 6 out of 9. No. It was 9 out of 9. Anecdotal, of course, but if you believe in Bayesian statistics, we're moving away a little bit from anecdotes here. This is becoming. If I had met 20 installers, I could tell you, and 20 of them I'd say yes. I could tell you, wait a minute, that's statistically significant. So, anyways, very impressed, very, very impressed. And why? Why do they love Enphase? Like, what were their main arguments? Well, here were the main arguments. The consumer-facing argument. I'm sure the other arguments is that Enphase has a full software that makes it very, very easy for them to set up. Enphase has a good reputation of shipping reliable product. Enphase gives them commission or good prices. I'm sure there's a backstory, but the consumer-facing story, I think, is the more compelling one here, because at the end of the day, it's all about the consumer. And so, why do people buy Enphase? Well, because it's a fully integrated system. It's the one-stop shop. Right, solar panels are a commodity. You can choose a solar panel that match your style the best, or the style of your house. But the one-stop shop, the inverter, the batteries, the app, Enphase has the one-stop shop, and others are claim they have a one-stop shop, but they're catching up. They're not the ones who launch the one-stop shop. You have an expandable system over time. Over time, you can expand your Enphase. You can add solar panels as, say, you acquire, for example, an electric car one day. You can get a battery later on, okay? You have software updates, just like Tesla. Enphase does a lot of software updates. You have monitoring feature, excellent monitoring features, where when you can decide, do you want to feed the energy back to the grid? Do you want to use energy from your battery? How do you want to manage that energy? So they do a lot of stuff with net metering. And you can also, and this is a big selling point, you can power your home straight from the microinverters, without any battery, without any grid during the day, which means that if you have a power outage, like there is a lot in Texas, there's a lot of power outages, but in California too, and other places in the US too, if you have a power outage, if it's a recurring thing, you can just power your home straight from a microinverter during the day. As long as it's the day, your home is going to be powered. So that doesn't solve your problem entirely, but that sure solves a big portion of your problem during the day when you walk or when you need electricity. So that's the big deal. Fully integrated system, the one-stop shop. Again, I know that others also have a one-stop shop, but when you go into the nitty-gritty and into the detail, you realize that it's nowhere near the completeness of vision that Enphase has. Enphase has the most complete vision. Then customer service. Enphase has an outstanding reputation for customer service. Discussed a little bit about Tesla Powerwall. Tesla, in the solar space, does not have a good reputation. Like customer service at Tesla, they're like, oh, we can't get a hold on them. We can't even get a hold of their products sometimes. Tesla does not have that reputation. Installers like customer service. Then reliability. Many Enphase products have warranties of 15 years. For the battery, for example, you can pay to have up to 15 years for the battery as a warranty, which is a testament to how confident Enphase in the product. And the inverters, of course, are even more reliable. They've never caught on fire. If you watch one of my old videos, you know that one of the main competitors of Enphase had issues with the systems catching on fire, not inverters, but the shutoff. Anyways, and lastly, and this is very important, they have an up-to-date compliance with local codes, with permits, with laws. And if you know anything about, the construction space, local codes change from county to county, city to city sometimes. And Enphase apparently has a very, very good back end that really helps the installers deal with that. So that's why 9 out of 9 recommend Enphase, which is stunning. This is, I mean, they are setting themselves up as a winner take most right here for this market. They had thoughts on competitors. Solar Edge did not appear to be favored, even though they seem to have the second most complete option. What's very interesting is that most of the competition, where it's Solar Edge or Generac, they use these things called optimizers, which adds redundancy to the system, because you still have the main inverter, so that big inverter machine at the level of a garage, but then you have to add an optimizer near each panel to make sure that if there's shadow over one panel, the whole system is not taken down. And it doesn't make sense to have all of these teeny tiny optimizers below each panel and then one big inverter, while you could have everything at the panel level in a microinverter. So it seems to bring a lot of unnecessary complexity for installers, because if you go with Enphase, you just install your little microinverter below each panel as you do the job, and you're done. If you go with Solar Edge, you have to install up or Generac. You have to install optimizers at the level of a panel, wire everything, and then you still have to deal with a heavy inverter that is a single point of failure, which is also another big advantage of having a system like Enphase, is that you don't have a single point of failure. You have as many microinverters as you have solar panels. So again, I really think it's a superior solution. Generac either did not appear to be favored by installers. However, and this is a plus for Generac, it seemed, at least where I'm at in Texas, to be a trusted brand for a lot of people who have gas-powered Generac generators. So they do offer Generac, and if someone has a Generac generator, they may be compelled to go with Generac just because they know the brand and they trust the brand. Good points for Generac here. I mean, this space is big enough for so many different players, so I'm not too worried but that's good for Generac. Why not? Okay, solar installers, they differentiate themselves on other things than Enphase, because it seems like the number one is Enphase, and they're all installing Enphase. So they're not going to differentiate themselves on Enphase, which is good for Enphase, because then, Enphase can kind of act like a monopoly and charge whatever it wants. But they differentiate themselves on things like the type of solar panel offered, how many watts per panel, right? How many panels are you going to install? They try to go for panels with fewer watts per square foot. More watts per square foot. They differentiate themselves sometimes on the mounting system or a rack system. Some system make them more flush, more good looking. They really do their core competency as a contractor. Right? Your core competency as a contractor is how well do you execute the vision, or how well do you do your installation? Do you work cleanly and properly? That's what they seem to differentiate themselves on. And of course, price. Right, and we all know that the 30% tax credit is mostly likely a bunch of it is going to the installers. But that's good, because you can have competition. And again, I don't. As far as Enphase is concerned, like that's, to me, mounting racks or solar panels, they're mostly a commodity. It's not something that's brandable. It's not something that Enphase wants to be in the business. And it's a commodity, and it's a very heavy physical commodity. So you have physical limitations as to how much you can manufacture of them, because unlike a microinverter, it's a teeny tiny thing. You don't have as many limitations, and I believe that this is going to get much cheaper, because competition among installers is eating up. And when you have competition among installers, the prices will drive themselves down. Even Enphase, when you go on Enphase and you want to install Enphase, they request a quote from 4 different installers for you. So even Enphase fosters competition among these installers, but all these installers seem to pick Enphase. One thing that does not change, Enphase is the most recommended system, and I'm stunned. I'm stunned to see that. They are developing that brand. And also, that trend on that show was very interesting, is many installers were exhibiting the products proudly. The Enphase products were just shown proudly, which is very interesting. Let me have some parting thoughts, or some concluding thoughts. Solar adoption is really picking up here in Texas. I mean, I drive in my neighborhood. I see it. Maybe we're at 1 house out of 10 as solar in my neighborhood here. This is up from almost no house just 5 years ago across Texas. 1 out of 10 in oil city, in like the big oil city. So another thing that's interesting is, so why is this adoption going on? Because it is a superior technology. It is the cheapest way to get energy, and so people are being very receptive. People do the math. And when you discuss them, you realize that a break-even of about 7 years for your standard solar system without a battery, your standard one using net metering as your battery backup system, you find that this is 7 years is right now is the break-even point that you're getting at. So again, you're kind of getting a return on your investment the same as the NASDAQ on your solar panel, but wait a minute, it's more than the NASDAQ, because you actually get a 30% write-off. This is the type of business that people flock to. And with some negotiation skills, because there's a lot of them, and with choices of certain options versus others, I have a little doubt that you're nearing a 5-year break-even point. So that's a 20% plus the tax credit. These systems are getting very, very compelling. And if you've seen my other videos, I've done my back of a napkin math. If you just forget about the cost of installation, it's even more compelling and even more cheaper. So it's pretty crazy. Many of them are complaining about rates, which they're like, oh, it's so expensive right now. Well, they all remember financing at like 0.05 or 1% that they used to have sponsored rates for solar panels. So now it's between 4 and 6% on those rates for most installers. I think it's extremely low. For those who want to finance, I think it's extremely low. Although this is a high return investment, and this is part also of my broader thesis on deflation and real estate. The value of a home is going to go up by quite a bit if people can generate 3, 4, 5 times their electricity needs just from their roofs. That's going to change all of the home economics, because you may be able to sell your electricity, you may be able to just power certain types of appliances that were not possible before. You have a convergence of technologies. And the selling point is what, which I found was very interesting, because when solar just started, the only selling point was, oh, it's good for the environment. That was the only selling point. And today that's not, they don't even discuss it. Like even the names of these solar companies, they don't even have the environment in it. That's not even what they discuss. That's not what they sell. What they sell is what? It's a deflationary technology. It's quote unquote, because you have to pay for it and set it up, etc. But it's quote unquote free electricity is what they sell. Most panels have a warranty of 25 years. But really, when you read the studies, their efficiency is in high 70s, low 80% after 85 years. And it's not unreasonable to expect a usable life for a solar panel, right? Something you put on your roof that does not change because there's no movement. It's not unreasonable to expect a 50+ year decent generation. And so when you sell these things, when you add it up, a homeowner is by definition savvy by definition, because you bought a home, you got a mortgage, you did all that stuff. You're by definition a little savvy as a homeowner. You quickly do your math and you realize that over the time of your mortgage, your setup is bringing you $150,000, $200,000 worth of free electricity. If you take into account the fact that the prices of electricity are going to go up. So people are not stupid. People see that. And you also have the emotional component as to why this is a better technology. You are becoming grid independent. So again, if you're in a state where you have no issue with electricity, this is not valuable to you. But if you're in a state where every other month the power shuts off for a few hours, this is becoming very important to you, especially if you have a family, if you have kids. This is kind of a non-emotional benefit of having an energy independent system, and I think a lot of what is driving sales is the whole idea that you can do net metering. So you can use the grid as a battery, essentially net metering, which is your meter reverses, right? So you can feed power back into the grid, and they buy it back from you at the price they sell it to you. And if you net meter more than what they buy back, they're going to buy it back at wholesale, which is going to be like 3 cents or something like that. But you can use the grid as kind of a battery. And batteries, therefore, because of that, I'm guessing that batteries, I'm not guessing, it's kind of my prediction here, that batteries will be a major upsell going forward for Enphase. Because if you have an Enphase system, when the time comes for you to get a battery, you're going to get an Enphase battery. And this is especially important for speedy charging of electric vehicles. Some people are going to not want to charge their vehicles overnight. And the only way to do speedy charging, like if you want to charge an electric vehicle in a minute, for example, a Cybertruck, if you follow Tesla and all that stuff, they have a Cybertruck with a megawatt charger. If you want to charge, say, at very, very high voltage, oftentimes the better way to do it is to have a giant battery that can discharge itself into the electric car at a very, very, very high tension. And that's, I think, going to be one of the many products that are going to converge that Enphase is going to be able to offer. And last but not least, the 30% tax credit, which this makes me laugh, because I've said this in multiple videos. this technology is compelling on its own. I don't understand why there's a tax credit. I'm happy about it, but I don't get it because this technology is compelling at face value. It's compelling at face value. And those tax credits, by the way, go until 2035. So think about the growth runway for a company like Enphase. Their products get a 30% tax credit up until 2035. I mean, let's think about that. That's as secular as it goes. And that is why, by the way, let me show you this slide once more. That is why, look, who's the best company of the S&P 500 the past 5 years and the past 10 years, right? If you think I'm silly, this is probably what one needs to look. The past 5 years, the best performing company in the S&P 500 was Enphase, followed by Tesla. And the past 10 years, it was Tesla, followed by Enphase. This performance in the stock market hides a bigger megatrend. It's a big megatrend. That's what's happening. And this is the megatrend. I'll conclude this video with that. And I know I'm a little bullish on Enphase, but I really believe it. This is the megatrend. Solar panels are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and more efficient. Factories are making solar panels just like weeds grow in the backyard. They grow as fast as weeds. There are so many solar panels. We're having a flood of solar panels, and this will keep going. And this is Wright's law. As production expands, costs go down. Solar panel rides the cost curve of silicon, and it rides it all the way down. And all of the learnings in silicon that we've had, we apply to solar panels. And all of the learnings in chemistry that we've had so far, and we've gotten much better at it, partially because of what we know about silicon as well, are applied to batteries. And this is the cost of batteries. So batteries, they've gotten so much cheaper, about 90% cheaper in 10 years. By the way, this is 2021, I believe. Old slide. Batteries are expected to be again divided by four or five within the past 10 years in cost. So imagine a battery 10 years from now will be 5x cheaper. 5x cheaper. So if you invest, if you're a long-term investor, it's all about really having a vision for the future. And I think Enphase has a very, very complete vision, in addition to proven record of success. And today, my anecdotal evidence that I bring to you, which is Texas, major oil city, solar is taking off, and the installers are putting forward Enphase, displaying Enphase proudly, and installing Enphase and selling Enphase. So anyways, this has not been investment advice. This is just entertainment. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate any like I can get, any subscribe I can get. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.